Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Ashley Lofton, and I'm the Assistant Marketing Director here at Agilquest. We're extremely excited to have you with us today as we introduce the revolutionary new Agilquest platform and walk you through some of its core features. Just some quick administrative info. I want to direct your attention to the navigation panel to the right of your screen, where you'll see two sections, a chat window and a Q&A window. Please enter any questions you have throughout the presentation into the Q&A window, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. If you have additional comments or would like to set up a more in-depth demo, please use the chat window. Before we get started, I'll give you a little background on Agilquest. We're a veteran-owned organization that has been a leader in providing workplace solutions for over 22 years. Our software has historically helped manage workplace assets and track utilization for enterprise and government organizations through a highly configurable reservation system, countless integrations, and a workplace analytics platform that accurately, consistently, and continuously collects workplace data portfolio-wide. In order to keep up with the rapidly changing workplace, Agilquest is excited to now announce the release of a multi-sided, cloud-based SaaS platform that brings the sharing economy to the workplace. This new platform was created to make it easier for workers to find the space and resources that help them to be productive and to love where they work, wherever that may be. So welcome, we're glad you're here. Now, let's meet our panelists. Today we have John Vivadelli, President and CEO of Agilquest, Jay Sowers, Solutions Consultant, and Jeremy Deyo, Application Architect. We also have Torrance Houlihan, VP of Product Management, to help us out during the Q&A period. First, John will provide some background on our product history and what brought us to the creation of this Agilquest platform and its purpose in the rapidly changing real estate market. From there, Jay will provide a top-level walkthrough of the product and some of its functions. And then Jeremy will present Agilquest Analytics, our built-in analytics tool. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll turn it over to you now, John.
Thank you, Ashley. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on our second Agilquest Platform demonstration webinar. As Ashley intimated, these are exciting times here at Agilquest. We just celebrated two big events last month, our anniversary of our 23rd year in business, and the release of our additional platform to our product portfolio, a true multi-tenant cloud platform we call Agilquest. So now we have two fantastic products to address a much larger market than ever before. Before we get to that new product, Agilquest, let's do a quick recap of our current system, Onboard. We've been known for many years for our Onboard product and our expertise in providing solutions to mostly large global enterprise customers. Onboard is a time-proven, highly functional application in use around the world. 14 different languages, including double byte characters. Hoteling and conference room management functionality. Visitor management, both external visitors and internal visitors. Catering integration with an application that is the platform under Sodexo, Compass, and Aramark. Free address. Smart building integration to control lights, power, and HVAC based on human presence. Permanent seat management, 100% accurate seat assignments, assigned utilization and actual utilization, and an analytics engine we call Commander BI. Onboard serves mostly large enterprises that require this tremendous functionality and many integrations and interfaces. At last count, about 18 of them, and does that very, very well. We have mobile apps. We have an interface that is designed for people with disabilities, an ADA 508 compliant interface. Telephone integration for automated extension switching. We have and we can also have the phone act as a desktop kiosk. Full two-way exchange integration. That's a hallmark of Agilquest and of Onboard. Lots of options for digital signage. We are hardware agnostic, and so we don't offer any of our own hardware. We think you should have the choice and should leverage the platforms that you have, that you've already purchased. So, you may ask, with all these great capabilities, John, why do you need another platform? Well, why indeed? Let's talk about that. To understand it, you have to know that Agilquest's purpose, our why, or reason for being, is to love where you work. So a little story. A little over 3 years ago, we were having a company strategy meeting where I wanted to fundamentally question what we did as a company and how we could fulfill our why, our purpose, much, much better. Our CTO, Brian Collier, said, "Hey, John, you keep saying the real estate costs are about 8% of revenues, but people are 80% of the revenues and account for 100% of the company's revenue. So shouldn't we focus more on people than on real estate costs?" A really good question, and the obvious answer is yes, we should be focusing on people first. And about those people, about us, we're only in our offices, our workspaces, 30 to 40% of the time. So all those workplace management tools that you have and that are in the market today, all the IWMS, all the CAPM, all the conference room systems, all the workplace booking systems, they're only helping people 30 to 40% of the time. And they're not helping them 60% of the time when they're outside of the office. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just not good enough for Agilquest. That's not fulfilling our purpose, to love where you work. And we needed to fix that, and we did, and we call it Agilquest. And space is still very important. So we designed Agilquest to give you the power to divest of that excess capacity that you have, if you want to, or the option of using it to generate revenue in new and innovative ways. Agilquest allows us to focus first on people and revenue, and then on space and cost. This fundamental refocus is the reason we built Agilquest. So let's look at the changes in the commercial office space landscape that drive the need for this new platform called Agilquest. Landlords built about 14 billion square feet of office space in the United States, and tenants lease about 85% of that on average. On the surface of it, man, that looks pretty good, no issues. In fact, many people make quite a lot of money at it. But underneath all that, there are some significant structural issues. People have voted with their feet. We demand new and ever-changing places to go to work. 40 million of us every day choose to work in places other than our assigned office space. This leaves 60% of all that space vacant on any given day. And all the providers of office space, both landlords and tenants, need a way to monetize or to generate revenue from these very expensive assets. Landlords have about 2 billion square feet of space they need to monetize, and again, the tenant with 60% excess capacity. We needed a new platform to serve these two massive needs in the marketplace. On the people side, we can remove the friction that exists when choosing to work both inside your organization and outside of your organization. Until Agilquest, there was simply no easy way for people to use one platform to find space both inside their company and outside their company, in places like maybe co-working, and all the other places they choose to work. So on the outside, it's really like Airbnb for office space. For landlords and tenants, Agilquest can measure and optimize the space, then market the excess capacity on demand. Agilquest is great for corporations, and it can also be used by co-working operations. It could be used by a church that wants to publish their space during the week. It could be used by hotels and restaurants during the day. It could be used by landlords with some of that vacant space that they can't lease on 10-year leases. Or for anyone that has excess capacity or vacancies and wants to generate revenue from it. But this is not just about a new platform. It's about a new business model, a sharing economy business model for the workplace. So let's just define this new business model, this sharing economy business model. The definition is the use of an IT platform to allow people to find, choose, and acquire the excess capacity of workplace goods and services that an owner wants to share. The cost of this capability is based on the services consumed. Key point. Just think of other sharing economy platforms, say Airbnb or Uber. They don't charge you to put your name in the system. They don't charge you to list your house in the system. They only charge you when a transaction occurs. Let's take that into the workplace too. So, Agilquest is an IT platform that brings the sharing economy into the workplace. It's about the way our new platform allows you to drive collaboration and choice and flexibility. It's about a way the platform converts thinking about office space solely as a cost to office space as a revenue generator. And it's about an entirely new way for both tenants and landlords to acquire this capability. As the graphic depicts, the main players, people who want to choose, use, and enjoy workplace assets, all of those services and space and equipment and other assets that either a tenant or a landlord might want to share, and then the Agilquest sharing economy platform in the middle that connects people to place, corporate to co-working, really anyone to anything. This sharing economy business model requires a new consumption-based pricing model. This is unique in the workplace management market. Let's see how this will work. So, first, Agilquest helps you optimize your workplace use. It measures your vacancy. It measures the excess capacity. Next, it helps you collaborate for revenue, meaning Agilquest leverages the workplace vacancy, and this allows you to invite, say, your customers, or your prospects, or your partners, or top talent into your space so that you can collaborate with them. We're removing the boundaries and the barriers to allowing people to get together. We're charging on demand, which means Agilquest can leverage the workplace vacancy to allow you to charge for its use on demand if you wish to. And the consumption or use-based pricing. Agilquest creates a sharing economy pricing model that is based on reservations, not on number of users, not on number of workspaces, not on number of square feet. It's unlimited assets, unlimited users is our mantra. We would love to hear about your thoughts on this new pricing model. So what you're going to go see today with Jay is the new multi-tenant and completely cloud-based platform that's hosted on AWS. Our target market, there are many. Say you're a large organization and you want to rapidly deploy a workplace management system. You're a small, maybe a micro or medium-sized business. You're a co-working operation or a flexible office. Landlords, really any publishers of space. When you see it, you'll realize how easy to use it is. It has like a consumer-like interface. And the new people that are coming into the workplace today demand having their software look like what they're used to using. Think Airbnb, think Pinterest. And that drives rapid adoption of whatever your workplace strategy needs to be. Speed to implement. There's no software. There's no training for end users. It helps you when you need it now. A much lower total cost of ownership. No IT infrastructure is needed, servers, staff, etc. No upgrade fees, and you pay for what you use. Pretty innovative, huh? Innovative platform for innovative places. If you've just spent hundreds of thousands or maybe millions on a new branded space, hey, you're going to need a cool platform to go with it, and that's Agilquest. Integrated analytics, both for the end user and for management, which is new and different. The end user, and Jeremy's going to go over this, he will show you that every end user of the system will have their own dashboard. And it lives in the web. We've built an open, RESTful API layer, and we are encouraging our customers, we're encouraging our partners we're encouraging everyone who wants to build specific interfaces or integrations to this new platform, interfaces like transportation to air, car, Uber. You know where you're going to go to work. Maybe you need an Uber. You should be able to get it right from the platform. Integrations like lodging for hotels and Airbnb. You're going to New York, you need a place to go to work. Oh my gosh, you need a place to sleep too. Integrations for food and personal services. So, without further ado, what I'd like to do is turn it back to, I'm going to turn it over to Jay. So Jay, maybe you can show everybody this new platform we call Agilquest. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We're really excited. As mentioned, we're going to have a high-level overview today just to go through things, give you a good idea of the look and feel of the platform, but we strongly encourage you to reach out to Jessica to schedule a more personalized demo. So please do that. All right, so as soon as I share my screen here, we'll be able to show you the platform. So we spent a lot of time, a lot of effort into making the platform extremely flexible. We wanted you to be able to brand and market your space. As John mentioned, a lot of organizations have spent a lot of money, a lot of time and effort building out beautiful spaces. So why not be able to market that space, not only internally to your own employees and share that easily, no matter where they are, but also to those outside of the organization. That could be clients, it could be partners. Again, utilizing the platform to use underutilized space to attract people to come in and use your space to collaborate. We also made the design responsive. So as you can see, when I move it over here to a different size screen, I can easily adjust. I don't have to scroll around. This might be the size of a tablet or a phone. And we also, our largest goal was to make it easy. Not only for the people using the platform, but the people who have to manage it. So now let's jump into the perspective of an end user. What's it like if I need to find the space that I've been given access to? So to start out, I've got a default home facility on my account, and I could choose between other buildings and facilities that have been allocated to me. These permissions are easily managed. We'll get to more of that in a moment. Now that I have the facility that I want to book a space in, all I need to do is pick the date and time. I can pick a date out in the future, a time. For today, we're going to search for a room as if we needed to find something quickly. So when we land on the results page, you'll see very visual results, meant to be, again, like a consumer site where I can access information easily. Things are very intuitive. If I had lots of spaces available to me, I could filter them down by the asset type. The types of space you make available are completely configurable. I could also filter by attributes. Maybe it's a specific piece of equipment, or maybe I need something to ensure a successful meeting. Certain capacity, you could keyword search. So a lot of this, again, is configurable. And then across that, if I had multiple locations or floors, I could filter down further. Let's click into a space and see what we get. When we land on the page for each type of space, there's a lot of great information. It's going to summarize where that space is located, any unique hours. This is important. As John mentioned, you may want to make certain spaces available on specific days or certain ranges of time, maybe only in the afternoon on specific days, for example. You might also notice that we have a lot of information around policies, things that are unique to that space. Are there any unique rules I need to be aware of? Is there a setup and breakdown time? Do I need to check in? We'll get back to check-in in a second. And then also a summary of any amenities and attributes. Now over here, you'll see that we do have a Google map integrated into the field here. I can see what's around this facility in the space. Maybe I need to acclimate myself. I'm coming from another location. I can easily use the map to determine what's around, take a look at the building. So before I go, I can see what the building looks like, and then when I arrive, I can navigate myself right to that building. So to make a reservation, it's really simple. All I do is enter a name, And then the number of attendees can be required for collaboration spaces. I can indicate whether that meeting's private. And if I wanted to give it a more detailed description, I could. Maybe it's a special event. Maybe I want to note that I have a special visitor coming. Super easy to invite people, again, both inside your organization or outside of it. All I need to do is enter email addresses. And then another item I could do here is add an asset to that reservation. So these are things that you can make available within your various facilities for people to reserve. Maybe it's equipment, maybe it's parking. In this case, I want to make sure that I have a piece of equipment for that reservation. We're going to add a smart board to that reservation. And now from one transaction, I've basically booked off the room and added the piece of equipment that I need. Once I click submit, it's saved, and then I can easily modify that reservation. So when I land on the home page, you'll notice at the bottom here, all of my upcoming reservations are listed. Any reservations or the ones that are nearest in the future will show here. I could easily click back into the space, make sure that it has what I need. So maybe later I want to double check that it has that piece of equipment that we need for our meeting. And then I could navigate back. Now I also wanted to point out check-in. So for those who are newer to this concept, check-in can be really important. Check-in has been a big part of Onboard, and it's also part of the Agilquest platform. We want to give people a way to indicate that they've shown up for what they've reserved. And there's multiple ways that this can be done. For today, I'm going to show you the check-in here from within the Agilquest platform. All I do is click the screen here, it's check-in, and you'll notice that I'm being asked if I want to start my reservation early. If this space is not reserved prior to my reservation, I could actually start my reservation early. So maybe I showed up early or another meeting ended shortly. I can show up and reserve that right away. All right. So another option that I have is to view all reservations. I can easily filter those. Where's the reservation? Maybe I've made them across different buildings. What type of space? Again, all types of space are completely configurable in what you offer. And then I can go down and take a look at these different reservations. I could amend them, adjust the date or the time. Another thing that I like is that you can save draft reservations. So if I had any draft reservations in here, I could go ahead and complete them. Maybe I wasn't sure who I wanted to invite. If I'd made any requests around space, that's also something that you can control. Maybe a specific meeting space, a large boardroom, you would want to require approval. Or people who are outside of your organization, guests, clients, partners, maybe you only want them to be able to request space on specific dates and times. And then I can also look at completed reservations. This is one of my favorites. So any reservations that I've made, if I really liked that space, I could go ahead and copy that reservation and then basically make a new reservation out of that, just selecting a new date and time. So again, a lot of tools to make it really easy for people. All right, so next I'm going to navigate back to the home screen. I just want to show one more thing from the end user perspective. Depending on preference, some people may want to look at different spaces by calendar. So as you can see, I can look at what's available in this facility and the windows of time that are available. So maybe I want a specific room. I just want to see when it's available. I can grab it at a date or a time that it's available throughout the day. And then I just book it like I normally would any other space or attribute. All right, so beyond that, I want to look at things from the, I want to show the profile really quick. So this is something too that's unique that we like about the new platform. I can always look at my role and my rights that have been given to me. I'm an administrator in this system, so I have a lot of extra rights. An end user could always look and see what they're allowed to do, what permissions they've been given. It's nice to be able to refer to that. What unique business rules do I have on me as a user? So since I'm an administrative user, I can book up to a year in advance. I can have multiple reservations for workspaces at once, whereas you may want to limit that for normal users in the system. Any preferences that I might have, as far as location or type of space, can also be defaulted. And then, of course, if I need to change my password, I can do that right from my profile. All right, next we're going to jump to looking at things from the administrative perspective. So again, since I'm an administrative user in the system, I have an extra link up here that I can click into to do a number of different things. I can manage existing reservations. So with one click and a date range, I can see which reservations have been made. I can modify them. I can cancel them. I can really do anything as far as the administrator goes to helping people amend what they've already reserved. I can look at what the space is and look into some different things. I could change rules, policies, hours very quickly. Aside from that, I can jump into requests, any requests that have been made around space. I could summarize those and make a determination, either approve or deny that. And then I can manage locations. Which facilities am I going to make available to our people? So let's go into a location quickly. I can add additional photos. I can add up to 6 different photos for that specific facility and location. And then other policies around that. Who are the contacts at this location? Any associated assets with that location? So that would be any types of spaces that are managed from here. And then any list of outstanding reservations that have been made in that location. Next, I'll quickly cover assets. These are, again, spaces that are made available across your various facilities, as well as things like services, equipment, parking, could be a drink service, any other type of room setup, really anything that you want to make available to your people. Next, I think this is a big thing in our new system, the ability to manage users and their permissions. So you'll see I have a number of different users here. If I click into one of them, let's click into mine, for example, I get a summary of information. And again, these are the things that I went over earlier that have been set for my profile, but I could change them for other people. So I could change the preferences, the home facility, any user groups. So user groups are what are used to manage who can reserve what across your organization. So let's jump into that. When I look at user groups, I click search here. You'll notice we've set up a few different types of groups. We've got all users, so that's anybody who has access to the system. We have invitees to Agilquest, so this is a group that we set up for people who would be guests to Agilquest. And then we have a separate group. Let's click into this right here. So this group, we can control what the people who are part of this group can do. So in this case, invitees to our company can only view and request space. However, I could give them the ability to go ahead and reserve it and manage space too. That can be something that's given to somebody who basically can control things throughout a facility. In this case, a guest, we really only want them to be able to view and request space. So there's a lot of granular control over this, and this is what we're really excited about. Again, the ability to control what people inside your organization can do, but also those who are outside. So we could have different groups for clients. We could have different groups for guests. We could have different groups for the public and what we want to make available to them. So this is the flexibility that really allows all this to happen. Again, I want to impart that this is a really quick, high-level overview. We'd love to dive deeper with any of you. Please reach out to Jessica for a more personalized demo discussion, and we would love to go deeper with you and discuss how this could fit into your organization. I want to remind you that minimal effort up front is needed to configure this, so we'd be happy to talk about setting up a trial period where you could test and play with the system. With that said, I want to point out that there is an analytics link up here. As an administrative user, I have access to this. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Deyo to cover analytics.
Alrighty. Thank you, Jay. All right, well, I'm really excited to be able to show you guys and talk about analytics in our new platform. As Jay mentioned, every user has access to this. They're going to see an analytics link up at the top. So this is not just for managers, it's for end users too. So when they click on analytics, this is what's going to actually show up. This is the default dashboard that all users have. And this dashboard, it really is to give users a view as to what their activity has been in the system. And you can see some of the widgets that we have here. You can see how many upcoming reservations you have. You can see how many total reservations you've made, how many times you've canceled or not shown up. Now you might be wondering, why are we showing, how many times you've canceled or not shown up? One of the things that we're working on is to add a gamification component to the Agilquest platform. And, what this would look like is you have users that are going in, they're making reservations, they're using the system, they're checking into that space, and maybe after they do that so many times, they earn a badge or it unlocks, a cool feature or something in the product. And the metrics that you see here on this user dashboard are the same metrics that are going to be feeding into that gamification component. So we want to actually, improve the user experience, have people engaged, and really make it a fun platform for people to use. So if we scroll down a little bit on this user dashboard, you can see we've got a couple more widgets here, and these are really good at kind of giving you a really good idea of when the location that you're at is busiest. So you can see over on the left, this widget shows you the location that you're at, and it shows you by hour when that facility is going to be the busiest. And you can see that today's Wednesday, so it's showing me for the New York office what the busy times are for Wednesdays. But I can go in if I wanted to and look at Monday or any other day of the week as well. And over on the right, you can see by day which days are the busiest. And, this is really good because, I can see in New York, Wednesdays tends to be the busiest day. So maybe on Wednesdays I might want to work from home, so I'm not going in and fighting for space. So these widgets, they're really, a good way to help you use the system. And users can go in, they can create dashboards, they can, really personalize it. We'll actually show you how to do that and how easy it is in just a minute. Before we do that, though, I wanted to actually show you the permissions that we've added to analytics. So if you're an administrator in the platform, you'll have access to this permissions option. And what this does is we've actually added a really granular controls for administrators to be able to control what users can do in analytics. And so very similar to what Jay was showing you, you can go in, you can create a user group, and you can assign permissions to that user group. And so if you wanted to, for instance, you could set up a user group. You can see one here that we've got facilities management. You can go in and you can set which locations that group has access to. And this is useful because you might have a group of people in the platform that you don't necessarily want them managing space for every office in your portfolio, but they might need to actually report on the use of that space for all locations. And so this is a great way to do it. It's very simple. You can go in, and if you want to actually control which widgets and reports people have access to, you can go in and do that. And even down to the data element level. So if you wanted to, you could actually go in and create a user group, and maybe you don't want them to necessarily run a report that has people names in it. And so you can go in there and actually turn those data elements off. So if they run a report that has people names on it, those names would actually be redacted from the report. So hopefully this will give you a good idea of how, the granular controls that you have. We've really put in a lot of flexibility here. We think our customers are really going to like this. So let's jump back over to the dashboard, and take a look at how easy it is to create a new dashboard. So up at the top, you're going to see a link for new dashboard, and you just put in a name and description if you want. And we'll click on Save. And so this next screen, what it's showing me here are, these are all the widgets that are available in the system. And you can go in and actually install the ones that you want. Now, because I'm in a user group, I have access to more widgets. And so this list is completely, could vary from user to user. And so I'm going to go in and actually just install some of these on this dashboard that I just created. So you can see here that all I'm doing is just clicking on the install button and just installing the ones that I want on this dashboard. So now let's go back over to the dashboard, and there you go. So this is the dashboard that I created. With just a few clicks of the mouse, you can see that I've got a really nice dashboard here. And, you know, unlike the user dashboard that we were looking at before, where it was just showing me data for my personal activity in the system, this would be more appropriate for like a facility manager, and they want to be able to see, you know, at a high level what's going on with the locations that they manage. So you can see across the top here, we've got a widget that shows you the number of logins, the number of people, total reservations, upcoming reservations. This activity trend widget is actually a very interesting one because not only can you see by day of the week what the activity is, but you can also see the reservations that are being made inside your organization versus ones that are being made from outside your organization, the visitors. We can also see the cancellations and the no-shows as well. And over on the right, you can see we have a widget here that shows you the top locations. And so you can see which locations are the busiest based on the reservations being made. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see we have a widget here that shows you that looks at the reservations for collaboration space, and it breaks it down by the size of the group. So, you know, it shows you how many have 2 to 5 guests, 6 to 8, and so on. And if you wanted to look at this data over time, you can actually break down the usage by the type of space, and you can look at that over a period of time. So if you wanted to see how many reservations are being made for workspaces versus collaboration space and so on, you can do that, and it really provides a very simple way of looking at that data. So we've added a lot of ways to kind of customize and personalize your dashboard. You can go in, for instance, if you wanted to, you can go in and change the colors. It's very simple. You can go in and set whatever colors you want. If you want to move widgets around, you can do that. If you want to resize them, you can really make this dashboard very personalized just for you. And something else that we've done is, so every widget has filters that are applied. And you can actually set those filters, not just at the widget level, but you can also set them at the dashboard level too. So when you create a dashboard and it's got all these widgets on here, the dashboard actually knows which filters are available, and it allows you to apply those filters across your entire dashboard. So you can see when I click on the filters link up at the top, you can see that I've got 2 filters here. And so we'll go ahead and click on date. And I can go in and I can set a specific date, or I can also do a range. And one of the things that we've done is we've added a lot of date presets here. And so you can go in and you can actually, you know, if you want to look at the last month, if you want to look at the last week or year, even by fiscal year, we've got a lot of date options here. But I'm going to just look at the last 3 months. I'm going to do 90 days ago to today, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And you can see that at the top of my dashboard, it went ahead and put that filter there, and now all of the widgets are being filtered by that date range. And I can click on this. I can go and change that. If I wanted to go in and add another filter, I can do that as well. If I wanted to, I could also go in and set a filter for a specific widget. So I'm just going to go into filters here. And you can see that the two filters for this widget are date and location, and you can see that it's being overridden by the dashboard. But I could flip this toggle and turn that filter off, and I can go in and apply a unique filter just for this widget. There's a lot of flexibility here on how you can work with your dashboard. One of the cool things that we've done too is we've added the ability to share your dashboards. And so I've gone in, I've created this dashboard, I've applied all the filters that I want, and now maybe I want to share this with my manager. And so if I go up to the options at the top, you can see that there's a share option here. So I'm going to click on share. And on this screen, this is going to show you who has access to this dashboard. So you can see that I'm listed here, and it shows me as the owner. But I can click on Add User, and you'll see I can go in and specifically give people access to this. So I'm going to go ahead and give Torrance access to this. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now I've given Torrance access to this, so when he's in Analytics, he will be able to have access to this dashboard. Now, by default, it will give him view access to it. But if I wanted to, I could also allow him to edit the dashboard as well. So now I've given him edit permissions. And I could also, if I wanted to, I could even allow editors to manage the sharing options. So just by turning this option on, now when Torrance is in there, he will be able to not only edit the dashboard, but also be able to manage sharing. So he'll be able to share the dashboard as well. And as Jay mentioned earlier, the Agilquest platform was built with a responsive design, and regardless of what screen size you're looking at, the platform will look great on all different device sizes. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the reports. And one of the things that we wanted to do with reports is really cut down the amount of time that it takes you to actually go and run reports. And so right away you'll see a list of reports that you have access to. And if I wanted to, for instance, this first one here, My Activity, I can click one button and this report will run immediately. And so I don't have to go in and do anything else. I have just clicked one button and I've got this report generated. And I can go in if I wanted to. I can even customize this report. I can change the colors if I want. I can go in and print this. There's several export options. So if I wanted to download it as a PDF or a Word document or Excel, even a tab-separated value file, I could do that as well. And the great thing, too, is you can actually export reports directly from the screen, too. So you can see here, you can actually change the output option here. And if I know that I want to export this as Excel, I don't have to run it first and then download it as Excel. I can just click from here, the export button, and it immediately generates that report in Excel format. And the nice thing about it is it remembers what I did here. So if I quit out of the Agilquest platform and I go back into it, it's going to remember that I ran this report as an Excel, and I'll be able to do this. If you have a report that you're running often, and you're always generating an Excel file, this is very, very fast. And one of the things that we've done is we've also added the ability to go in and mark certain reports as your favorites. And so this is really useful so that you can go in and actually filter this view to only show your favorites. And so that way, when you go into it, you have access to the reports that you run most often right at your fingertips. So hopefully this will give you a pretty good view of how analytics works. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Ashley.
Great. John, Jay, Jeremy, thank you all so much. Now we're going to jump into some questions here that we've received throughout. If you do have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A facility in the panel within the WebEx platform. All right, so jumping right in. John, this sounds like a good question for you. Can you explain the consumption-based pricing model again?
Sure. So oftentimes with most systems and even with onboard our own system, pricing was based on mostly either an asset, a workspace, a conference room, or whatever, in the system. And the more of those things you put in the system, the more it costs you, the customer. Or maybe it's a user-based pricing model where if you have 30 people or 3,000 people, it would be priced based on that. And a lot of systems in the enterprise price that way. When you get to a platform like Agilquest, what we decided to do, and this was with a lot of help, we're a Gartner client and talked with them at length about this. And some of the feedback they gave us is, look, for a SaaS platform, multi-tenant SaaS platform, cloud-based, whatever, that the thing what you want to do is two things. You want to make sure that you price the product based on the value that it is delivering to the customer, whoever that customer is. And secondly, the price ought to be somehow linked to the cost that it's costing you to deliver that. So we're going to be, we are on AWS, Amazon Web Services, and the pricing of that tends to be transaction-based cost. So what we decided to do is to come up with, what's the reason you put a system like this into your organization in the first place? It's not to put people in it, and it's not to put resources in it. It's to make reservations, it's to make bookings, it's to help people find what they want and choose it and use it and enjoy it, and it's to help you figure out how much does this stuff cost. And the only way you're going to be able to do that really well is to be able to keep track of these things called bookings or reservations. So that's what we decided to do, and so it's really it's a play on both the value to the end user and to the cost that we would incur to deliver it. And it's interesting. We were first in the market, probably for at least the workplace market, 18 years ago, 17 years ago, to come up with a subscription-based pricing model. And now everybody is doing that in the workplace, and we decided now it's time to innovate again on the business model side to go along with the innovation on the platform.
Great. So does that mean there are no implementation costs?
Implementation, no, none. It all kind of depends. What's really great about the Agilquest platform is that we built it so that it can be very self-service. So if you want to put in 10 conference rooms or 30 rooms or whatever, that can be something that can be easily done by the customer. And so you sign up for the use of the system and enter your people, enter some workspaces, and be moving right along. For larger implementations, there are going to be some, and it depends on how much support people need to have from Agilquest.
The only thing I was going to add in is as far as the amount of time it takes to set up and configure the system, it's a fraction of
enterprise software, right. Again, there's nothing to install, so the customers, if you think about the total cost and the total time frame, customers used to have to buy hardware. They used to have to procure that. They used to have to go through the whole IT thing. And with this, because there's no software to install, it dramatically reduces the load on the customer to be able to get something up and running.
Jay, I think you might have mentioned that someone was asking, is there a free trial?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. We want to strongly encourage that. With this model, we're in a lot better position to help provide that. As mentioned, just because of the things we just talked about, quick setup, easy to turn on and off, and with minimal effort, we could add a handful of conference rooms or some workstations and really let people play with it.
So here's one. You want talking about people having better choice outside of the corporate office. Where are you sourcing the inventory for all of this outside space? And how will it avoid my people still going directly to the co-working site to book?
So the external space, we're talking with some providers. One has 3,000 workspaces around the world. to place on the system. We're talking to some small entities here around the Richmond area. So the idea is that we call this a multi-sided platform. And so a multi-sided platform means that you have assets on one side and you have people on the other. And so one of the things that you need to do is to be able to start somewhere, and that usually is on the asset side. So one of the things we're doing with this platform is to really go after a lot of corporations. And what's interesting about a corporation is they provide both assets and they provide people. So you get both in one transaction. So those people, those companies that are on the system, everybody on this call has excess capacity in their office space. Everyone. And it's roughly speaking about 60%. So that 60% vacancy now becomes the content for the system that people can then send out a notice to all of their marketing contacts. Use Agilquest. You send out a note to all of your Agilquest contacts and you say, look, hey, if you ever come to whatever, Richmond, Virginia, if you ever come to wherever you are, just click here and make a reservation. And we'd love to have you come and work with us. So it's a platform that allows you to do that. And so the very content that you put in for your own people can be the assets that are exposed to others. So the asset side comes in a lot of different flavors. It's going to come with the addition of companies. It's going to come with the addition of partners that have space. It's going to come from landlords who have decided that they would like to participate in this. So lots of places.
Great. Thank you. Hey, Torrance, I think it sounds like a great question for you here. Have you encountered customers who need this workplace reservation management system but have security challenges?
Yeah, sure, Ashley. Thanks. You know, security is always top of mind. And there are sometimes different security questions when you're talking about being in the cloud versus when you're being on-premise. But we built Agilquest from the ground up to make sure that it was operating not only in a secure physical infrastructure, but a secure digital infrastructure as well. It is hosted up at Amazon Web Services. We do our own security testing and scanning with a third-party company that evaluates our software, looks for vulnerabilities, checks it all out, and we're willing to provide those scan results to people who have to have conversations with their internal security group in order to use third-party systems. Security, it's a never-ending battle. People are always trying to come up with new ways to find vulnerabilities and other things, but we know that we've partnered with the best infrastructure provider on the planet up at Amazon Web Services. We're working with great third-party tools to try and expose any vulnerabilities and address anything long before anything is even moved up to Amazon. And we're happy to have that security conversation with people if they need to with their internal groups.
Great. And I guess a follow-up, is your software FedRAMP compliant?
So not yet. The Amazon Web Services does have a FedRAMP compliant hosting capability. So that's one of the reasons we picked AWS, is because they do have a FedRAMP compliant capability. We do have a sponsor agency, which is one of the steps along the way to compliance with FedRAMP. And we are going to be continuing to push down that path. So that's an evolving process. It's not yet FedRAMP compliant, but we are working towards FedRAMP compliance, and we can currently operate in a compliant infrastructure.
Thank you. One more question for you here. Do you have Google's two-way integration planned?
Absolutely. Yeah, we sure do. Currently, we have a level of integration with both Google and Exchange, which uses the ICS, Internet Calendaring Standard, for sending information to Google Calendaring. But just like we have two-way Exchange integration today in our onboard product, we absolutely are planning to do Google two-way calendaring integration with the Agilquest platform.
Great. All right. Jay, you talked a lot about responsive design. Is there a dedicated app in the plan?
There is, actually. We've got one in testing. It's something that we're working on as we speak. Obviously, the interface is designed to be used on mobile devices, accessible from different size devices, tablets, phones. But we do have experience with apps, and that is something that is on the short roadmap.
We decided to do the responsive design first, and the reason is that it exposes all of the functionality of the platform to any device. So that gives us the opportunity to be able to hit, again, any device that's out there. And so that, doing it that way gives us the breadth of service. And then usually what happens with mobile apps is that you deliver some subset of that functionality in the mobile app. And, I don't know, people have, I think I have 200 apps on my phone, and adding another app is just sometimes I just maybe don't want to do that. So this gives you the opportunity to just use the software on any device without having to download the app. We absolutely are going to deliver Android and iPhone apps. Most purposefully, it's going to be around location-based services. So that's going to be a big key to that part. And it also allows us to do some interesting things with BLE, low energy Bluetooth, and some other things. So, yeah, and beaconing and that kind of thing. So, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we're through the first iteration of the iPhone app, and we're close to getting that out the door. It just needs to be tested, and et cetera, et cetera. So, but we're certainly going to do that.
Great. Well, it looks like we have time for one more question here. John, why don't you take this? Does your system have a pricing module as part of the reservation system? Say if I were interested in using it to set up shared space or temporary office rental businesses, such as WeWork.
Yes. So it's a work in progress on the outside. We currently have, with our the latest release, is we have pricing exposed to each one of the assets. So we will have, and the plan is to integrate with Stripe and be able to do full payment processing on the system. So absolutely, we're moving down that road to allow people to be able to publish to the public or anybody else if they wish assets like co-working or other, and would like to have that be able to be seen by the public, acquired by the public, paid for on the platform. So absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. If we didn't get to your question, please provide your email address in the chat window, and we'll reach out to you with an answer as soon as possible. We also provide private demonstrations that are tailored to your organizational needs, so please let us know if you'd like to set up a demo or an open discussion about the product and solutions. You can reach out directly to Jessica Debus, our Solutions Coordinator, to set up a meeting. You'll see her information right there on the screen. And keep an eye out on your inbox for our next webinar, which will be held later in the month, and it'll cover the inside and outside strategy that John's been speaking of behind Agilquest. So look for that. Thank you again, and have a great day.